Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Justin Holmquest. I'm the principal of New Prairie Middle School, and I am in IPLI Cohort 7. And I did my AR project on my ability to increase my capacity as an instructional leader. I've titled it Back to the Classroom, and it's titled Increasing Capacity as an Instructional Leader. So I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see my presentation and kind of go through what my inquiry was, what my findings were, and where I'm headed for next year with my role as an instructional leader. So here we go. All right, so my background leading to my inquiry, I really wanted to figure out, like I said, how to become a more effective instructional leader. I have 45 teachers. We just recently redesigned our master schedule a couple of years ago, where we built in common plan time. We also have late start Wednesdays as a district, where we get 45 minutes every Wednesday morning for a collaboration time. We are also in the middle of implementing PLCs as a district. We've identified essential standards, and we used this last year to develop common formative assessments for each subject area and grade level. And we're also looking at how to build in an RTI remediation piece for students who do not master those essential standards, for them to get remediated, and another opportunity to assess their mastery of the standards. The issue I was running into was we had a lack of PD opportunities due to the school year, due to sub shortages, and also the financial part of paying for subs and teachers leaving during the school day, and paying for that PD as well. We have built in time for collaboration, and I really wanted to figure out how best to use that time. We are fortunate that at this point, we do have quite a bit of it built into our schedule, and I wanted to make sure it was being used effectively. And the other part was I was just really tired of the mundane staff meetings. I got really, really tired of just going over information that could literally be put in an email or made into a video that I could send to the staff to have them watch. I just felt like it was a waste of my teachers' time and a waste of my time. So I wanted to create opportunities for teachers to collaborate, and, like I said, increase my capacity as an instructional leader. So my wondering was, I wondered how I could become a better instructional leader and a facilitator of professional development and learning within my building. So my actions were, one of the first things I did to start the school year was I converted my monthly staff meetings into a professional learning network. That included getting rid of the whole language of calling it a staff meeting. I deliberately told my staff I'd be calling them PLNs, and that I would not be calling them, and then eventually that caught on, and that's what they started calling it. I used a couple of books to help guide my startup of this. One is Allison Rodman's Personalized Professional Learning, a job-embedded pathway for elevating teacher voice. And in particular, I believe it was chapter 3 or chapter 4, she talks specifically about how to create a PLN and what the benefits of doing that are. And then John Hattie and Klaus Zier's 10 Mind Frames of Visible Learning. I focused specifically on Hattie's research about effective professional development and collective teacher efficacy, and how both of those have very high impacts, positive impacts on student achievement. I focused on the development of common formative assessments as our topic for our PLN. That is a district initiative that we were going into, and I wanted to create an opportunity for my teachers to have those discussions together in the open with admin support. And the resource I used for that was Solution Tree's Global PD. We are, as a district, heavily invested in Solution Tree in terms of implementation of our PLC process, and the Global PD is a part of that investment from our school district. So we do have subscriptions to that, and I used their mini course on common formative assessments as the guide for the PLNs. The mini course itself was broken down into 8 chapters, and each one of those chapters became a monthly PLN topic for my staff. And I also front-loaded our PLN dates with an agenda with some action items that the teachers should complete prior to us coming together and collaborating at those PLNs. My data collection, one of the first things I did, I wanted to compare what my agendas look like from my first year as principal here and adjust them to be more, I guess, collaborative in nature in the way they were, not necessarily their design, but just the topics, the information that was on a traditional staff meeting agenda versus what a PLN agenda could look like. And I also did staff surveys with my teachers mid-year and then at the end of the year about the PLN, just to get some feedback on where we were middle of the year and what needed to be adjusted and their attitude toward it. And then at the end of the year, what they thought of the PLN overall and feedback from them heading into next school year. So one of the first things I looked at was my agenda. So my agendas from 2018, 2019 were more of a checklist of items that I needed to share with the teachers, just essentially information that could have been saved for an email or like a video like I'm creating now that I could have shared with them. There was no real professional development happening. There was no collaboration. It was just me saying, here's some information I need to share with you. We're all in the same space. I'm making sure you're all hearing this from my mouth. Here you go. An hour has passed. Have a good day. No one ever really complained that that's how they were. That's just what we were all used to doing. And I kind of felt like it was, like I had said earlier, kind of a waste of time. So this is an agenda, and I'll move this down here. From this past year, the agenda was more aligned to our district initiative of implementing our CFAs. That's what we're focused on with the agenda. So there isn't a bunch of information about 3, 4, 5, 6 different topics. It's all about the CFA. The time was given to teachers to collaborate during these times. This specific agenda was about unwrapping standards. So prior to us meeting on this particular date in February, the teachers watched the Chapter 4 series on Global PD about unwrapping standard procedures. And this date was built in for them to come together and take what they learned, and they had to come with a standard. It could have been one they've already unwrapped or one that they hadn't, they were just getting their feet wet and they just wanted to start it. They'd bring it together to this meeting. We grouped teachers strategically and then had them start working and practicing unpacking those standards. And the video guided that process. And then my assistant principal and I, we helped by making our way around the different groups to help them unpack the standards. That specific standard, not all of them, just the one, just to get the task down on how to do it. And then when they were able to break apart and go back to their common plan times or late start Wednesday times later on, they were able to apply that practice to the rest of their standards to get those unpacked for the following school year. So this agenda was more aligned, one, to our goals overall for common formative assessments and the process of getting there. And 2, it was more designed in a way that says we're going to come together. These are the outcomes we want to be able to accomplish. And this is where we're headed for the following PLN. So one of the points is Chapter 5. That would have been our next meeting in January about what we are going to be doing that next time. So again, that was just my first thing, first piece of data that I looked at, what I created prior and how I can make it better for the PLNs. The other data that I had were my surveys. So in November, I gave out a survey via Google Forms. It's totally anonymous. I just wanted to do a mid-year check-in from my teachers about how things were going with the PLN. Like I said earlier, I have 45 teachers. At this point in time, I had just about half respond to my survey. it had been shared with me that, they were kind of leery of responding to surveys sometimes because in the past they felt that information they gave to admin via survey was used against them in some way. I assured them that this was about me and about my professional growth, had nothing to do with them. But I did get 22 to respond. So I used that as my gauge for where we were. I also did one in May. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go finish with my November one. So as you can see, 1 would have been strongly disagree. 5 would have been strongly agree. So I prefer traditional staff meetings. About 15 of the 22 disagreed with that or strongly disagreed, but there were about 3 of those 22 who at this time in November did feel that they still wanted a traditional staff meeting, and 4 who were neutral. I prefer PLN style meetings of the 22. At this point in time, 16 of the 22 agreed or strongly agreed. 4 were neutral, and then 2 of the 22 were saying no, they didn't like it. I have some theories about why that is. Off the top of my head, I would just say, collaborating with other people can be somewhat uncomfortable. And I was definitely putting people outside their comfort zones on some of this, making them talk about things in the open with other teachers that maybe they weren't comfortable doing. So that's my theory about why at this point in time, maybe those 2 maybe did not like it as much. I don't know that for sure because it was anonymous, but that's my hypothesis anyway. PLN style meetings have helped me understand and implement school goals and initiatives. 17 of the 22 stated they agreed or strongly agreed with that. The time spent in a PLN style meeting is more valuable than traditional staff meetings. 19 of the 22 strongly agreed or agreed with that. 3 disagreed. The activities during the PLNs have given me ideas to improve my teaching and student learning. 18 of 22 agreed or strongly agreed. And then PLNs have increased my ability to collaborate with my team or others, and that was at 18 out of the 22. So in May, I did another survey. Given everything that happened, I actually had 30 teachers who were able to respond to this out of the 45, which is an increase. It's 8 more teachers than responded in November, so I'll take it. And I just wanted to do an end of year check-in just to see what the teachers thought of the PLN and any suggestions for improvement for next school year. So again, the same question, the PLN style meetings were beneficial. 23 out of the 30 agreed or strongly agreed. There's 6 who are still maybe on the fence a little bit. 1 disagreed. I think you can always count on a dissenting voice here and there, and sometimes you need that. PLN style meetings help me understand and implement CFAs. So that was our focus for this school year. 21 out of the 30 agreed or strongly agreed. 7 were still on the fence. 2 disagreed. I would feel comfortable leading a PLN style meeting on school initiatives and goals based on what I learned. This is all over the place. 11 disagree or strongly disagree. 11 are neutral, and 8 said they agree or strongly agree. And I'll talk more about that later. The PLNs increased my ability to collaborate with my team and others. 22 out of 30 agreed or strongly agreed. And finally, I'd like to continue PLN style meetings in 2020, 2021. 23 out of 30 agree or strongly agree. 6 are neutral, and 1 disagrees. So with that information and looking at all the data, here were some of my takeaways, my discoveries. Teachers want to collaborate. They just need the time and structure to do so. Even though I am now a principal, I'm still a teacher, and I can continue to grow as an educator in my own teaching practice. And there's still work to do to empower teachers to be leaders of professional development. It's okay to be good at something and share that with others. And so taking all of that, some of where I want to head next, simplifying our goals for next year, with everything going on with COVID-19 and trying to figure out what school is going to look like. I really want to revisit our CFA process and make sure all of my teachers have mastered that process. I don't believe that everyone has. and I think some of the data may reflect that. The ones who didn't find it beneficial maybe are still confused on what the expectations were. And so I feel like it's my job to revisit that and make sure we're really good at this before we add another thing to the basket. So given those who have mastered CFAs, this would be an opportunity for those teachers who already get it. They're doing the process. They understand what it means to develop a strong CFA, use that data to remediate and move forward. This would be an opportunity for me to give them to be leaders, to be those instructional leaders themselves. I know I had, a weird pyramid going where I had some on the far left who said they didn't agree that they wanted to be a leader. I had some on the right who said, yes, I'm willing to do it. And I had a lot in the middle who were probably could go either way. So I kind of see this as an opportunity for me to reach out to the ones, who feels really comfortable leading topics over CFAs for staff. And I feel like those 8 or so who agreed or strongly agreed would be the ones to volunteer for that and to help get some of their peers up to speed and where they need to be. Leading PLNs and continued CFA development from a distance. So one thing I've really wanted to think about is, how do I continue to grow as an instructional leader and continue to do this PLN style professional development with the limitations that, COVID-19 is presenting, with social distancing, things being done from a distance. So what do I need to do as a principal and as an instructional leader to make sure that I'm still doing that and keeping the momentum going with our CFA development implementation? I feel like we made a ton of progress this year in that area. I had a lot of teachers experimenting with the process and learning new things and, to be honest, failing in some things and reflecting on it and then getting better from it. So I want to keep that going. I don't want this potential, distance learning scenario to impede our progress as a staff. So, researching ways to make sure that I can keep that going if we're not together. And then for me personally, just continuing to grow as an instructional leader. I really appreciate the feedback my teachers give me. There's some very honest feedback in the comments about teachers just not being sure of what to do and giving me suggestions on how I could help them grow, I guess, or help them understand more. So I appreciate that feedback. So one of those teachers gave me some very constructive feedback on what they felt would be good for not only themselves, but some of the other staff members. And that included more periodic check-ins after the PLN to check for their understanding and provide timely feedback. I mean, if that's not a great teaching strategy, then I'm not sure what is. So we do the PLN, and then maybe a week or two after, when I'm saying go practice this, I check in with teachers, and my assistant principal checks in with teachers just to see if there's any misunderstandings, if they've tried it, what did they learn from it? And rather than waiting a month to get that feedback, we're getting it more frequently. Again, that comes with time. And sometimes as administrators, we get sucked into all these different areas where we lose track of time and, we just spend time on things that we wish we didn't have to. But I think it's a worthwhile challenge, and something I'm looking forward to trying hopefully next year is those more periodic check-ins. And there was another suggestion of, it's okay to empower teachers to become instructional leaders. I think there's still a stigma a little bit or a fear of, I guess, looking like a know-it-all. I don't know where that comes from. That's something I'm trying to remove because I value my teachers' experience and their expertise. And I think it's okay to, if you see somebody having success, it's okay to give them the stage and the platform to share what they're learning, because, we all learn from one another. And for me as an instructional leader, I still learn from my teachers because they're in it every single day. They're learning new practices, and there's a lot that they can do and they can share that I can learn from as a principal and apply in my role as a school leader. So that's really it. This was a very, it was a fun approach. It's one of the first times that I feel like as an administrator, I'm just finishing my 6th year overall as an admin. my second year as principal here at New Prairie Middle School. But I felt like in my previous positions, as an assistant principal, even in my first year as principal, dealing with discipline, and, not really diving in to the instructional part of school leadership as much as I wanted to. This last year, being able to do these types of PLNs with my staff, and really getting back into the art of teaching, that was a lot of fun. And that's why I put, back to the quote unquote classroom as my title. Not necessarily a classroom, but I think, we, as principals, we are instructional leaders. Our teachers look to us for guidance. And to be honest, my teachers know I look to them for guidance too. So I just want to be the, I guess, best instructional leader I can be, help guide my teachers, learn from them. Hopefully they can learn from me, and just, be the best that I can be in that capacity. Because even though I am a principal, I'm still a teacher, and there's still a lot I can learn about being an effective teacher. So this project helped me do that. I'm still going to continue to grow, and it was a lot of fun. So if anybody has any questions about the process, anything that I've done, if it intrigues you, my email is at the front of my presentation. Feel free to email me at any time if you have any questions about any of what I have done. So thank you very much. Have a great school year, great summer, and stay safe. And we'll see you all soon, hopefully. Thanks.